Japan is an island country, blessed with an abundance of natural beauty throughout the changing seasons. This has inspired a love of nature among the Japanese people that reaches into their very souls. The Japanese garden originated from the idea of wishing to live as closely as possible to the beauties of nature. Thus, gardening took on special characteristics of its own. In final form, a garden recreates the beauties of a landscape without anything artificial. Water, stones, and trees are important elements in any garden, but of these, the tree has been given particular significance. This is a Japanese white pine that grows in a temple in the city of Kyoto, the ancient capital of Japan. Its branches reach out as long as 54 meters, and the tree itself has a history dating back some 600 years. It has been lovingly cared for over these long centuries by the priests of the temple. This helps prove how the people expressed their love for the trees of nature, and it was from this love, this desire to bring man and nature into closer contact, that the idea of bonsai, of miniaturizing trees, came into being. A picture scroll from the 14th century includes bonsai-style trees in a garden setting. This large picture scroll was drawn some 50 years later. Bonsai at that time were raised exclusively by the nobles and lords and by Buddhist priests. A number of bonsai styles can be seen here. By the 19th century, bonsai had found popular appeal among the common people who started cultivating them. This ukiyo-e woodblock print shows how bonsai were enjoyed in those days. Bonsai have to be carefully cared for so that they don't grow too tall for the limited space available, or that they don't die from natural or artificial causes. One important consideration in caring for bonsai is repotting. Repotting is usually called for once in every 2 or 3 years. First, the tree with soil is lifted from its pot. The dirt is carefully removed and overlong roots trimmed to half or 2/3 their length. Gravel-like dirt is spread over the base of the new pot. The tree, with its trimmed roots, is replanted in the pot. Soil is filled in around the roots and the pot to make sure the tree will stand firmly upright and that the roots will get adequate nourishment. The repotted tree is then given a thorough watering. This repotting technique helps the tree regain its growth as if it were young once again. Given this loving care and attention by man, a bonsai tree may live twice as long as one in a natural setting. It must be properly fertilized and placed where it gets good ventilation and plenty of sun. One of the pleasures of bonsai is admiring the beauty of these miniature trees as they are and as they grow. But another equal pleasure, perhaps even more so, is raising a bonsai by your own hands. However, this is not an easy thing to do. One needs to know and use a variety of techniques. For this reason, bonsai experts offer lectures and training sessions from time to time. Here, the teacher is demonstrating the technique known as sente, or pruning. He shows how to select unneeded branches or branches that have grown too much or too long. These should be cut off. He explains how one branch can spoil the beauty of the bonsai, or why you should let another branch grow longer, etc. Bonsai involves not only improved techniques, but requires a deepening sense of beauty. Bonsai fanciers always need the opportunity to appreciate the works of others that have a high aesthetic as well as technical level. The various bonsai exhibitions held throughout the year serve to meet this need. Here, bonsai beginners and veterans as well can enrich their knowledge and their experience with the art. Broadly speaking, bonsai can be divided into 3 categories. First, we have the pine and oak group. The pine is long-lived and stays green throughout the year. It holds a special place in the people's hearts, for they believe it brings good luck. It may truly be called the king of bonsai. This pine wears the look of age upon its limbs, yet is adorned with the freshness of new green. While in miniature, it conveys a view of nature and reality. Indeed, it is an impressive example of the art of bonsai. It is not unusual to find some bonsai pines that have lived for some 50 to 100 years. Actually, if it were possible to count the years these trees lived before being selected for bonsai growing, there's no doubt that some are incredibly old. Some are known to be at least 300 years old. A second category is that variety of bonsai which bear fruits or flowers. A bonsai that carries fruits or full-bloom blossoms creates a particularly delightful image. Yet, since bonsai is itself a tree in miniature, so should the fruits and blossoms be small, corresponding in size to its parent. At the same time, the tree should not bear too many fruits. Rather, 1 or 2 fruits gives just the right balance to such a bonsai. Here, a flowering bonsai. This particular category of fruit and flowering bonsai includes all sorts of typical Japanese trees which lend a special charm to each season of the year. The third category involves miscellaneous types of trees. The types included here provide the enjoyment of viewing the passing seasons: budding in spring, deep green in summer, golden leaves in fall, and the lonesome bare tree in winter. These types offer a very different sense and emotion from the previous 2 categories. The bonsai trees we've seen so far can be bought at bonsai shops, but quite naturally are quite expensive. You could at one time pick up trees free of charge in the mountains that would make good bonsai, but that practice is now illegal in Japan. So the question is, how can a bonsai be raised? Though it takes a great deal of time and patience, there are a number of methods developed for cultivating bonsai by oneself. Let us introduce here a couple of the simpler methods. One way is to cut cuttings from a healthy branch of a grown tree and plant them in soil to take root. This method is widely used since many such cuttings can be taken from a parent tree. Spring is the best time as a rule, just as young shoots make their appearance. The cutting is first put in water for about an hour. After the cutting has absorbed as much water as possible, it is cut on the slant from both sides. These young cuttings are then stuck in a planter box where the soil drains well and provides good nourishment. With careful watering and patient care, the cuttings start to root. After 3 to 5 years, these have grown into young trees like these and are ready to be raised as bonsai. A second way is the toriki method. You select a tree trunk or branch with a good-looking shape and make it produce roots. The trunk or branch is then cut off just below the new roots and planted in a pot. Two parallel cuts are made in the bark about 1.5 inches apart, or at least 2 to 3 times the diameter of the stem at that point. This piece of bark is carefully stripped off, leaving a clean cut on the upper edge. That's where the new roots will emerge. A sheet of transparent vinyl is wrapped around the trunk and peat moss filled in around the cut and tied to the stem. Some holes are cut in the lower part of the sheeting to allow water to drain and air to circulate. The moss portion also should be well watered. When roots emerge from the moss, you then cut off the stem and plant it in its own pot. This usually takes from 1 to 3 months. The Ginza district of Tokyo is the heart of the capital city, and one of its department stores is offering a rare display for bonsai lovers. The bonsai available here are what can be called a variation, mini bonsai. Mini bonsai are only about 10 centimeters tall and are so much smaller than regular bonsai that they take up very little space. They have found a ready popularity among urban dwellers. Although mini bonsai are extra small in size, they're just about the same as regular bonsai in that they bloom and bear fruit. These can be grown even on the veranda of an apartment house. This businessman is an ardent mini bonsai fan. He utilizes his small garden to maximum effect for his collection. Since the pots for mini bonsai are rather small, the soil dries out rather quickly. This means he must water them twice a day, in the morning and again in the evening. The roots also spread out very easily in the pots, so he has to repot the trees every year. Raising bonsai trees calls for much time and labor and an equal degree of patience. For the bonsai fan, the effort is not at all a waste, but rather a source of rest and relaxation. Mini bonsai can easily be brought into the home or apartment. They can be present to always reflect the season of the year or to impart a sense of nature's beauty right in the midst of one's own dwelling. With the retreat of nature on all fronts under the increasing spread of urbanization, bonsai are becoming ever more popular. The art of bonsai in its many styles brings nature into our immediate surroundings and helps maintain that all-important contact between man